You start with a company that builds a box. And in practice, this box, they probably dress it up to look like a life-changing, world-altering protocol that's going to replace all the big banks in 38 days or whatever. Maybe for now, actually ignore what it does or pretend it does literally nothing. It's just a box. Anything cool that happens because of this box is going to ultimately be usable by, governance vote of holders of the X tokens. They can vote on what to do with any proceeds or other cool things that happen from this box. And of course, so far, we haven't exactly given a compelling reason for why there ever would be any proceeds from this box. So that's sort of where you start. And then you say, all right, well, you got this box and you got X token, and the box protocol declares or maybe votes via on-chain governance or, something like that what they're going to do is they are going to take half of all the X tokens that will have reminted, maybe 2/3 though, 2/3 of all ever X tokens, and they're going to give them away for free to everyone who uses the box. So anyone who goes, takes some money, puts it in the box, each day they're going to airdrop, 1% of the X tokens pro rata amongst everyone who's put money in the box. That's for now what X token does. It gets given away to the box people. And now what happens? Well, X token has some market cap, right? It's probably not zero. Let's say it's, $20 million market cap. And a bunch of arbitrageurs
from like first principles, it should be zero, but okay.
Sure. Okay. I completely reasonable comment.
That's not quite true, but when you describe it in this totally cynical way, it sounds like it should be zero, but go on.
Describe it this way. You might think, for instance, that in 5 minutes with an internet connection, you could create such a box and such a token, and that it should reflect it should be worth $180 or something market cap for that effort that you put into it. In the world that we're in, if you do this, everyone's going to be like, ooh, box token. Maybe it's cool. If you buy a box token, that's going to appear on Twitter and it'll have a $20 million market cap.
It shouldn't have any market cap in theory, but in practice, they always do. Okay.
That's right. So, and obviously already we're sort of hiding some of the magic in that, right? Some of the magic is in how to get that market cap to start with, but whatever. We're going to move on from that for a second. So, X tokens being given out each day. All these sophisticated firms are like, that's interesting. If the total amount of money in the box is $100 million, then it's going to yield $16 million this year in X tokens being given out for it. That's a 16% return. That's pretty good. We'll put a little bit more in, right? And maybe that happens until there are $200 million in the box. So, sophisticated traders and or people on crypto Twitter or other sort of similar parties go and put $200 million in the box collectively, and they start getting these X tokens for it, right? And now all of a sudden everyone's like, wow, people just decide to put $200 million in the box. This is a pretty cool box, right? This is a valuable box, as demonstrated by all the money that people have apparently decided should be in the box. And who are we to say that they're wrong about that? This is, I mean, boxes can be great. Look, I love boxes as much as the next guy, right? And so what happens now, all of a sudden people are kind of recalibrating. It's well, $20 million, that's it? That market cap for this box? And it's been 48 hours and it already has $200 million, including from sophisticated players in it. So come on, that's too low, right? And they look at these ratios. TVL, total value locked in the box, as a ratio to market cap of the box's token. And they're 10x, that's insane. 1x is the norm. And so then, X token price goes way up, and now it's a $130 million market cap token because of, the bullishness of people's usage of the box. And now all of a sudden, of course, the smart money, it's oh, wow, this thing's now yielding 60% a year in X tokens. Of course, I'll take my 60% yield. Right, so they pour another $300 million in the box, and you get a cycle, and then it goes to infinity, and then everyone makes money.
I think of myself as a fairly cynical person, and that was so much more cynical than how I would have described farming. You're just well, I'm in the Ponzi business, and it's pretty good.
At no point did any of this require any sort of economic case. It's just other people put money in the box, and so I'm going to too, and then it's more valuable, so I'm going to put more money in. And at no point in the cycle did it seem to like describe any sort of like economic purpose.
Can you comment on like the sustainability of that? Like,
yeah,
because like, you know, on the one hand you're like, well, $1 trillion of institutional money is going to come into Bitcoin. On the other hand, you're like, basically there are a lot of Ponzi's that have done really well.
Right. So okay, cool. I'll stay on the cynical route. Think about like cynically what could happen here. Well, okay, so you've got, this box is kind of dumb, but like, what's the end game, right? This box is worth 0, obviously, and like that, you know, you can't like keep this market cap or something. But on the other hand, if everyone kind of now thinks that this box token is worth about $1 billion market cap, that's what people are pricing it at, and it sort of has that market cap. Everyone's going to market to market. In fact, you can even finance this, right? You can put X token in a borrow lending protocol and borrow dollars with it. If you think it's worth like less than 2/3 of that, you could even just like put some in there, take the dollars out, and never give the dollars back just to get liquidated eventually. And it is sort of like real monetizable stuff in some senses. And you know, at some point, like if the world never decides that we were wrong about this in like a coordinated way, right? Like you're kind of the guy calling bullshit and saying, no, this thing's actually worthless. But in what sense are you right? So certainly some of them are unsustainable, and some of them are, you know, many of them by number end exactly the way you'd think that they would, right? Like the way these end is that like eventually people decide that this is no longer today's cool box, this is yesterday's lame box, and they go down a lot in price, and then people sort of move on to box number 2. And if everyone did a careful accounting of where they ended up, I don't know, you know, would they have made money? Would they not have? It's a little unclear. Like some people would have, some people wouldn't have. It's sort of messy. And that's like certainly how some of these quickly end up.